Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari. Krishna is the lover of Radha. He displays many amorous pastimes in the groves of Vrindavan. He is the lover of the cowherd maidens of Raj, the holder of the great hill named Govardhan, which we celebrated yesterday, the beloved son of Mother Yashoda, the delighter of the inhabitants of Raj, and he wanders in the forests along the banks of the river Yamuna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. The universe embraces each one of us, yet we can be so blinded by darkness. Because our true teachers guide us with the torchlight of knowledge, our eyes can be opened to the power and sweetness of illumination. Therefore, let us bow down to all those who guide us on our spiritual path. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Shri Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. And this is a prayer I often share. I offer my obeisances to my spiritual master, who gave me beautiful Kantimala and fulgent Tilak, the beautiful form of a devotee, and who offered me his shelter. In one of his hands he is holding my hand, and with his other hand he is holding the lamp of knowledge, which helps me to cross over the dark ocean of the material world. Sutta says my guru deserves the greatest respect because only he can rescue one in the blinking of an eye. I bow to him again and again and again. Okay, with that, we will go into the verse we are reading today. It's, let me just share a screen. And it's Canto 10, chapter 76, verse 25. Okay, this should be visible. If it's not, please somebody just tell me. So we'll start with Sanskrit. Shalvarnika Pashastroger Prishnivira Purishartitaha Natatyajuranam Swam Lokadvaya Jigiswa Saha Jigisavaha. There are synonyms. Shalva of Shalva, Anikapa of the leaders of the army, Shastra of weapons. Oghai by floods, Vrishni Virahan, the heroes of the Vrishni clan. Purisha, extremely, Aditaha, pained, Natatyajuhu, they did not abandon. Ranam, the places of the battlefield. Swam, each their own. Loka, the worlds. Dwaya, two. Jigisavaha, wishing to conquer. And here it's translation and purport by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Because the heroes of the Vrishni clan were eager for victory in this world and the next, they did not abandon their assigned posts on the battlefield, even though the downpour of weapons hurled by Shalva's commanders tormented them. It's a strong word, torment. And then here's a purport. Srila Prabhupada writes, the heroes of the Yadu dynasty were determined to either die on the battlefield or to gain victory. They were confident of the fact that if they would die in the fighting, they would attain a heavenly planet, and if they would come out victorious, they would enjoy the world. Beautiful verse. You just take one moment. Okay. So first I want to light or illuminate the chapter that we are in. I tend to like to bring context of the overarching themes and what's happening, so we actually know like where we are in a chapter and in this whole pastime. And so Shalva was granted Sopa, which is a very specific name of what we probably already know. But he was granted a form of a mystical airship called Sopa that he wanted to use to attack Dwarka. And he was granted that, thank you. He was granted that through the whole year of austerity, of eating only a palmful of dust to gain attention of Lord Shiva. And it is described that even though Lord Shiva is described as being very easily pleased, we see it in so many parts of our stories, our sacred stories that we hear and tell, that Lord Shiva often grants boons even to the demons, unfortunately, because his nature is to be easily pleased. And yet, he almost stretched that in this circumstance, that he only granted Salpa, that mystical airship, to Shalva only at the end of the year of his austerity, of eating really a tiny bit of dust as his nutrition every single day. And so Shalva, a demoniac, very dark internally king, wants to attack Dwarka and cause serious destruction. And his idea is to do it with this airship, or he wants to do it with a weapon that would essentially guarantee the most possible destruction. We know weapons like that in the world that we know. The weapons that, if they are used, really there's very little hope to what's going to be remaining of the world. And the airship, so the airship itself is filled or almost created with darkness. And it's so connected, as I already mentioned, to the king who is now owning it, because he himself is carrying so much darkness in his own heart. And because of that darkness, the Salpa is invisible through its own enchantment to others, and specifically to Dwarkavasis. So even when he is using it to attack, they are receiving the effect of that attack, and they can see things being destroyed around them, but they actually do not see where it's coming from. And so we can also imagine that is quite a terrifying situation to be in. And so then the battle ensues. And what's also beautiful is that the chapter describes how incredibly beautiful Dwarka is through describing what is being destroyed. It is describing, lush forests and gardens and beautiful palaces, and them being torn apart with like tree trunks being thrown from the airship and all kinds of different weapons being thrown so that again it can be just devastated. And there's even a description of observatories being destroyed as well. And that to me also brought this beautiful image that like an observatory is a place or an opportunity for people to observe, study devotionally, almost worship through intelligence and through presence the world around them. And so even Dwarka had its own observatories to actually tend to their own piece of the world, essentially, their own beauty, and their own dam. And so that these also are being destroyed. And again, because the airship is under the cover of the illusion of the darkness, it is harder, if not impossible, for the warriors to defend their population. And then Pradyumna is able to break the cover of that illusion. It is described that it almost starts to flicker, that it can be seen for a moment and it disappears again. And so that essentially the light is bringing it more for it to be visible. And so then the warriors are able to defend, their kingdom better by actually being able to see. And so then they can again see the tools used by Shalva to attack. They are able to actually stand in a battle in a more equal fight. And we are now in the chapter, in this very particular verse, hearing about a moment where warriors are showered with arrows and all kinds of shrapnel, and which of course is life-threatening. And this particular verse is, which again I find to be so revealing and such a gift from Srimad Bhagavatam, that it's revealing their inner experience of fighting. And they again are of course devotees. So the inner experience of the fighting devotees as warriors, they are reasserting themselves of their placement in a battle, which is also so closely evocative of what is happening in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna is standing on a battlefield speaking with Krishna. He's confused. He has his moment of despair, and he's being reminded of his duty or service, and the success which is encapsulated in simply doing his best and performing his duty, or in other words, dharma. And the rest is taken care of, and there is no loss. And in the same way, the warriors of the Vrishni clan or Vrishni dynasty, they are having this inner experience of being reminded, like, this is what my duty is, and I'm just going to stand here and continue to fight. But more so, really coming deep into the heart of accessing this inner courage and strength, and even a sense of protection, of knowing where they are in a larger cosmic vision. That even if they are to win the battle protecting Dwarka, they're able to have that a pleasure of the heart to know that they've protected their kings, their queens, their population, and then continue to serve the Lord. Or if they are to leave their bodies in the battlefield, they will also leave their bodies knowing they absolutely did their best, leaving the body in the middle of performing their duty to the best of their ability with their full heart, body, senses. So I want to read passages from Bhagavad Gita. This is a translation of Graham A. Schweig or Garuda Prabhu. And it's actually so beautiful. I was mesmerized actually about seeing how much correlation there is between these two. So this is chapter 2, verse 31, 32, and 37. So this is Krishna speaking to Arjuna. Moreover, considering your own dharma, you should not waver. Truly, for a warrior, nothing better exists than a battle fought according to dharma. And if by good fortune what is gained is an opened door to the celestial world, happy are the warriors, O Partha, who obtain such a fight. Either having been slain, you shall reach the celestial world, or conquering, you shall enjoy the earth. Therefore, rise up, O Kaunteya, acting with firm resolve for the battle. Acting the same in happiness and suffering, gain and loss, victory and defeat. Then prepare for battle, that you shall not suffer misfortune. And so again, there is just this such a strong reminder and essentially like the same realization experience within the heart of the warriors. It's almost like witnessing the deepest realization a warrior can have in the fight, of acknowledging what is there to be gained if not simply performing my duty and knowing that the Lord will be pleased if I do my best. And so they are keeping within their hearts that this strong conviction they're fighting for the Supreme Lord, for the protection of others, and again are winning that larger vision or perspective. And that's also the experience of fearlessness, which we've been also offered by Srila Prabhupada. He was in the past asked, like, how do you feel when you are chanting? And his response would be, I feel fearless. And the reason why is because chanting is a way in which we can saturate ourselves with spirit, or that sense of connection to the Supreme Lord, to that which is eternal, which essentially is so deep that we are becoming, even within the material conditioning of still, at least for myself, still strongly identifying with the body in so many ways, and perceiving the reality with a small r as to be true. Still, to that saturation of chanting, we are able to be untouched by matter, truly connecting with a substance to the point that everything else is revealed in its true form as an illusion. And then there is that empowerment that comes from us acting true to our values and our convictions. And we can take a moment to connect with the values that we are holding. But in this situation, again, the warriors are connecting with their values and convictions. And in a Bhagavatam class, we can also connect again and again with what we want to tend to within our hearts and what we want to protect. Also knowing that, one, we are not necessarily able to grasp the multifaceted ways in which the Lord arranges things for us. And two, that doing our service is all that we are really responsible for. And the rest is in Krishna's hands, not really in our hands. And that in itself is actually, at least in my heart as I'm feeling it, a big relief that I don't need to know and I don't need to try to make sense of things, but I do know that there is an order, an arrangement, and a reason. And that brings me to the qualities of Vaishnavas, or of spiritual warriors, of people who are really striving for the truth with a capital T, which are the qualities of tolerance, perseverance, and that quiet strength of faith, which is that if we are truly connecting with our values, if we are connecting internally with our convictions, and through chanting of the holy name, at least as it is in our tradition, through service, we are gaining deeper levels of that saturation with eternity, with connection to the Lord, and with that relationship. That brings, again, a quiet but such a present faith internally that no matter what happens, I will be fine. And no matter what happens, I will just continue doing what I'm asked to do or what I've been internally guided towards doing as a service. And so again, it's this unshakable vision of reality with the capital R, or eternity, substance as opposed to the shadow, that continues to infuse itself into our acting dharmically, which again, within the scope of our nature, of what we are called to do, no matter what happens. And I wanted to bring in that, with that vision, actually the vision of Srila Prabhupada. This was his writing on 13th of September, 1965, during his passage to the United States. It's a series of verses, essentially a poem titled, "Oh my dear friend Krishna, good fortune will befall you." And so he is bringing the vision that he inherited from his spiritual master, and then connecting with it deeper, the vision of actually spreading the holy name to a larger world, to making chanting of the holy name, remembrance of Krishna and Gauranga, a more natural aspect or part of culture in the West. And so I'm going to read a few verses from this. His intense desire, and his intense desire refers to, again, Srila Prabhupada's guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. His intense desire is that the name of Sri Gauranga be spread throughout Western countries, that in all the cities, towns, and villages on earth, extending to all the seas, rivers, and streams, everyone chants Sri Krishna Nam. Transcendental bliss will then arise, and all directions will be conquered by the profuse mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All those who are wicked, having been influenced by Maya and distressed within this world, will become happy. The Vaishnava's desires will thus be fulfilled. This is, I also find beautiful, which is that oftentimes I notice in myself, there is this easy pathway towards judgment, to just maybe arrive at the word wicked or crazy. But here it actually is used with so much compassion, which is whoever has been influenced by illusion so deeply naturally becomes distressed within the world, also connecting to the loss of the faith in Krishna's hand being everywhere. And that makes them wicked, because if we are to believe in a world in its full glory of illusion, naturally we would be wicked and crazy. Then connecting to further verses. "O Krishna, although I have been ordered to accomplish this mission, I possess no qualification to do it, being very fallen and incapable. Since you are the wisest of all, I now beg for your mercy, so that I may become worthy. If by receiving your potency I obtain the treasured object of service to Sri Guru, my life becomes thus successful. I will become joyful and by good fortune attain your association. And so then here is again the quality showing up, that sense of being so loyal to the vision and to the service that naturally comes. Like if the vision is that North Star, then we are continuously guided towards it throughout our whole lives. And we can see it in the life of Srila Prabhupada, being offered that vision, essentially the goal to strive for throughout his life, as a service to a spiritual master. And being so loyal to it, truly offering his entire self to carry it out to the very best of his ability. And I was thinking also about examples of personalities, exalted personalities that we also know in the sacred stories that we are hearing and sharing and reading, that have that quality as well, that sense of chastity or faith that is so deep and so infused into their marrow that anything they're doing is coming from that place, and an illusion just cannot touch them in any way. That's that sense of protection, but also such a deep inner resolve. And I was thinking about, and especially because we just celebrated Diwali, remembering the exalted personality of Sita, and the part of her long presence. And again, every detail is worth so much, but I want to bring the moment in which she is stepping into the fire, knowing that and having that inner prayer that if I was faithful and if I was chaste, then it will not affect me. And having such a deep inner, again, resolve and conviction, like I did my absolute best within my heart. I know I did that. And the rest will happen. Whatever the Lord desires, the rest will take place, but I know I did my part. In the same way, we have Prahlad Maharaj, his father trying to kill him, really tried hard and still was not able to succeed. I say they as his father and supporters of his father or servants of his demoniac father Hiranyakashipu. They threw him beneath elephants, trying to trample the child to death, essentially just break his bone to the point that his body was no longer together. They tried to cast him into the midst of giant snakes, venomous snakes that would bite him, again, tear him apart in so many ways. They cursed him because they also had yogic powers. They cursed him with destructive spells, hurled him or threw him from a hilltop, created frightening hallucinations, again, by their mystic powers. They fed him poison. They starved him, or tried to starve him to death. They exposed him to the most severe elements, such as cold, winds, fire, and water. And they even threw heavy stones, trying to crush him. And none of that truly did anything because of Prahlad's, again, deep saturation with his own faith and relationship and connection with the Supreme Lord. To the point that not only he didn't die, he was not harmed, and he was not even afraid for a moment in any of those circumstances. Knowing that in every single one of those circumstances when he, again, the intention was to just completely annihilate him. He was just deeply remembering the Lord and feeling like he was just kind of constantly in the embrace of the Lord and within his heart, and seeing his Supreme Lord everywhere, knowing that again he is the supreme controller. So even if his father is really trying hard to harm him, it's just not going to happen because of that relationship with the supreme controller. And we see that in the last example I'm going to give, and then we are going to open up for the discussion. And how can we speak about chanting the holy name without mentioning Haridas Thakur? And again, in his exalted life, I'm only offering a very small detail. Each one of those personalities, Srila Prabhupada, Sita, Prahlad Maharaj, Haridas Thakur, they are all worth spending lifetimes reading, hearing about, chanting with. But Haridas Thakur, again, was told that his body is, or he actually said himself, like, even if you cut my body into like multiple pieces, I know that I will still be chanting the holy name of the Lord. That nothing will stop me from this continued, eternal, ever expanding relationship and service of my chanting the holy name. And again, it's that experience of fearlessness, deep conviction, and performance of the supreme Dharma that they're called to. And so with that really strong vision, again, of protection and actually peace almost and contentment that comes from us connecting with our service and carrying it out deeply with this inner trust in the connection relationship with the Lord. I want to end the class and invite discussion, perhaps questions or any clarification. Thank you so much for hearing me.
Ananda, Manjari, thank you so much. What a wonderful class. A question.
Yes.
You were describing this quiet strength of faith that I have done my best and the rest is up to Krishna.
Yes.
And he's our friend and he's all powerful. But what if I look within my heart and then I see that I'm clearly not doing my best? I ate the cheesecake at 10 o'clock last night. It's not a quiet piece of strength. It's like failure after failure after failure. So how do we feel about that? When we clearly see that we're not doing our best, where do we go from there? Manjari.
Thank you so much for this question. I hope that cheesecake was from Govardhan Puja.
It was offered to Krishna, yeah.
So that's not actually that bad. But I do feel that the first step that you're already acknowledging, which is a sense of honesty in which we are perceiving our inner environment and acknowledging like, wow, I'm actually not doing as much as, or I'm not as deep, or I'm not doing as much as I could be doing, which again translates to I'm not doing my best. I feel like that's already such a beautiful step or a position to be in, because that brings, hopefully at least, a sense of humility of like, I can be doing more and I'm not. And again, an honesty which really supports us on our entire lives of spiritual practice. It again brings us closer to the reality of where we are. But that can lead us into a deeper prayer and deeper reflection, because if we are to grow our entire lives, then that question of how can I be doing better? Can I be performing my service better? And knowing that it's actually an ever expanding endeavor, ever deepening experience of the heart, there is always that notion that we can go deeper and be better. And our acharyas, which have highest realizations of relationship with the Supreme Lord, they still have that experience, and they never lose this inner desire to do more and to do better. And so in that way, it's beautiful to remember that. And if you already know that you are not doing your best, then I feel like it brings you closer into realizing, well, what can I be doing better? And taking that small step towards doing your best. And then when you are doing your best, then it again is that experience of um, sweetness, and again knowing like today I did. And it's again day by day endeavor as well. But I do feel like that sense of questioning and already being able to honestly with also self-compassion point to this is an area that I would like to improve in or upon is actually a very precious place. Yes. So that's my response. And you can of course ask devotees for support, ask Krishna for support. If this is an area of struggle, which we all have areas of struggle, then we can again beg essentially for support to improve there, for the sake of the relationship with the Lord, not for the sake of improving itself, like by ourselves. Because I feel like that again, the vision is so important that we are doing our best for Krishna. We are wanting to grow and improve so that we can be better servants.
Thank you, Ananda Manjari, for giving us hope.
Thank you.
Okay, dear devotees, please reflect. Maybe you have an angle of vision, maybe you have a question, clarification. There's no corrections today. As Ananda Manjari is speaking. Das Prabhu, are you doing your best? Staying awake in class? Yeah. Let's see. Who's that? Adipurusha Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for hearing.
Thank you so much. Wonderful class. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Superlative. Your spiritual masters empowering you on this subject of being completely full-heartedly going forward in the face of adversity, even death, because we're Christians pleased and we're successful because we're trying, and there's always room for improvement. So that's there. What can you say? But we see again and again the idea of spiritual warfare and the willingness on the part of someone who has faith and is really trying to please Krishna, that I'm not concerned whether I win or lose, but I'm really going to try to please the Lord here. That's our real criteria for success. I love seeing, and remember in my youth, seeing different movies where the hero is facing terrible adversity and perseveres with, in spite of the threat of even death. We derive inspiration in our own battle, because each of us is involved in a battle. The mind and the senses can cause adversity, and certainly there are demoniac forces. There's a quote in the Bible about how we're not striving against, we're striving against principalities and evil spirits that are trying to discourage us, to distract us, cause us to give up hope. And so Vaisheshika Prabhu says we must fortify our intelligence by hearing sufficiently from Scripture. And if we don't hear sufficiently from Scripture, we'll begin to imagine injustices, or we'll lose fighting spirit. You see how just by speaking, Krishna instilled in Arjuna a complete reverse of at first he was discouraged and he was, ready to give up his weapons. But then Krishna said, fight for me. Abandon all desire for gain and safety and fight for me. That's our motto. Let's do it for Krishna. Which is the person we're doing it for. The spiritual masters made this request. Let's try. Why not? Anyway, thank you. Your class was fantastic. We can only reflect contradiction in what we have to offer. Well, glories to Srila Prabhupada, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Actually, even what you mentioned, what came to me is stories that we often hear, which is of kind of the reverse. That in the notion of succeeding or not, like whether we succeed or not, if we are truly offering it from the heart, to the supreme vision, in that way, it really feels internally already pleasing and satisfying. And we see in the world that we are so familiar with repeated stories of people who technically had everything or reached the topmost success of wealth or fame or recognition or anything else, and themselves come to open up and just say, actually, I'm just like not satisfied internally. And so it's, again, something that we are familiar with, that so deeply connects. And you also mentioned that notion of hearing so deeply that hearing infuses into my vision of what I'm perceiving. And I'm actually able to perceive everything around me, whether it's adversity or even hardship or pain, still with that vision of the Lord and how it fits into a larger cosmic order, which is, again, actually a soothing balm for the heart, which naturally feels compassion for others as well, and still being able to have that perspective. It has been helping me incredibly, actually, in my life, because it is quite easy to get caught up in just perceiving the misery without remembering still Krishna's hand in how it plays. So thank you so much for this reminder. I'm looking at the chat. This is Ephesians 6:12 from William. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly place. Yes. I think the deities are about to manifest themselves.
Hold on, Ananda Manjari, please. Prashant Prabhu is keeping his camera on,
Oh, okay.
which we take as an indication to glorify Krishna. Please, Prashant Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Really beautiful class. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do you want to add
Jai.
anything?
Darshan time. Dear devotees, please follow Prashant Prabhu. Turn on your cameras if you can. You can even stand up if you like William. If you're at the desk, you can get down on your knees. Okay, no, seriously. Get ready. Put on your best look. Yes, thank you. See, even Jeffrey Eckler stood up. Wow. He's really touched by the class. Hare Krishna. Ananda Manjari, this quiet strength of faith, where did you get that one from? Is that from Premananda Vilas?
Actually, I don't know where I heard it or whether I said it the first time. I feel like I heard it somewhere, but I'm not sure.
Ananda Bihari Prabhu, I get more things from her than she gets from me, I promise you.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, Premananda Vilas Prabhu is speaking with humility. Thank you. Yeah, such a wonderful class, Ananda Manjari. So many takeaways for me personally, especially that one. Do not freak out. Be quietly faithful that Krishna will come through and do his part.
I
Nice.
specifically, like, I actually feel it's not really a metaphor. Like, that is that inner experience that there is no need for screaming or reasserting anything externally. It's just that sense of, like, within the heart, there is this, like, rootedness and like light, and that sense of really deeply knowing and trusting, like, whatever happens, I'm fine. And it is quiet, but it's just like such a strong presence. Yeah, so
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. And I really wish you an amazing day remembering Krishna, unless somebody else wants to add anything. I don't want to take away that opportunity. Okay.
Okay, let's bring Isaiah on. Isaiah, please. It's your turn. Annabelle, what's that? Is that your project? Hare Krishna. Nice, Annabelle. Thank you. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Jai. Thank you.
It was muted. No. Do it over. It was muffled. We couldn't hear it.
Oh, okay. Again.
Nice. Nice. Thank you. Thank you. The yagya is complete. Thank you very much, dear devotees. Ananda Manjari, thank you. Hare Krishna. Everyone on this call, we love you. Manisha, looking great. Are you a fashion designer or something?
She's a devotee.
She's a devotee. Yes. Yes. Jai. Hare Krishna. Okay, take care. Today is Sunday, a wonderful opportunity to see Krishna's love in hand and to serve Krishna. Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.